I did not know that my wife is a call girl. One day when I called a call girl in my office, I was shocked to see that she was my wife.
Hello, friends. My name is Jack and I live in Boston.
I want to share with you one of the most worst events of my life. This incident is the worst incident of my life that I cannot forget it. Even if I want to, 3 years have passed since this incident. If you like the story of mine, then please thumbs up on this video, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, then subscribe now and click on the bell icon so that the upcoming interesting videos can reach you. I studied in the best college in my city and was the smartest student in my class by participating in all the activities. I was a very good football player. There was a girl in my class whose name was Eva. Was not very beautiful in her appearances, but she was very innocent girl, very nervous to talk to anyone, and had no self-confidence at all. Eva was a very quiet girl and did not talk much to anyone. If anyone wanted to talk to her, she ignored them. No one knew much about her personal life except that her parents were dead and she lived with her aunt. She never attended any college function. Even when we had our farewell party, she did not even attend that party. She was the crush of many boys, despite not being very pretty. Whenever a boy wanted to talk to her or approached her, she would treat him very badly. I don't like Eva that much. But her different behavior compared to other girls attracted me towards her, which made me want to talk to her. But in 4 years of college, I never had anything special with her. But one day Eva herself talked to me that she wanted to do a part-time job somewhere, and I was doing an internship in a good company that day. It was a very different and special for me that Eva talked to me personally because she doesn't talk to anyone much. So I wanted to help her with all my heart. And after 2 weeks of hard work, I hired her part-time in my aunt's company. When I told her that she can work part-time in this company, she replied, she got a job elsewhere and she refused to work in my company. I was very angry with her and I never spoke to Eva again. A friend of mine had a crush on Eva and was going to propose to her at a fair party. But Eva never attended and neither of us ever met Eva. After college, I got a very good job in a company. I was living with my parents and living a quiet, happy life. I never had any girl that I could marry. Although all my friends were happily married, but one year my mother died due to cancer and a few months after she left, my father was killed in a car accident. I love my parents very much. They raised me very lovingly. Their death was a big accident in my life. After their departure, I felt very lonely and always sad. A colleague of mine named Henry was also a very good friend of mine, suggested me to get married, but I did not like any girl to marry. I did not take his advice too seriously and jokingly blew it off. One day, Henry tricked me into adding my profile to a website where I could find a girl for marriage. 2 days after posting the profile on the website, I got a request from a girl on my profile for a blind date. When Henry told me about the profile, I got angry with him and refused to go on a blind date. My friend insisted me to meet this girl only once. I did not want to meet this girl at all. But I agreed on my friend's insistence and went to meet her thinking that I would refuse. This girl. I did not talk to this girl before meeting, and the time and place to meet was decided by Henry. After that, Henry told me what time and place I should go and meet this girl. Henry just told me about that girl. Her name was Elia. The night before I met her, Henry sent me a picture of her. So the girl felt very similar to me because I was going to meet this girl only in my friend's insistence, and I thought that I would just refuse her. So I did not look too closely at her picture and did not think much about her. The next day, he told me that I have to meet this girl at a nearby restaurant at 4 o'clock. When I reached the restaurant, there was a couple sitting at one table and there was only one girl sitting at another table who was holding a menu card in her hand and was reading it. I was just trying to identify her if she was the same girl my friend sent me to meet. And at that moment, she saw me and pointed at me and called me. It mean this was the girl that Henry had sent me to meet. I went and sat on the chair in front of her, or the girl was very confident. She talked to me very nicely, but I was very hesitant to talk to her while talking to her. I constantly felt as if I had seen her somewhere, but I could not recognize her. Even though I put my mind to it, she looked very beautiful. Her way of speaking, her way of dressing. Everything was very, very nice and beautiful. So all these things attracted me to her. We sat and talked for an hour and I really enjoyed spending time with her. I went there to reject this girl for marriage. But after talking to her, I changed my mind and decided to meet her again. Next week. This time, we could not spend much time with each other due to work. We fixed a day next week where we could spend the whole day together to understand each other. I was taking interest in her because I liked her so much. The girl was talking to me as if she knew me from a long time while I was constantly trying to identify her, whether I had seen her or knew her in conversation. I was once again going to ask her, if you know each other, have you ever met before? But I felt like I was a little awkward asking such a question on a first date. So as top and did not ask her that question, we decided to meet again next week at the same restaurant. I thought when we meet again, I will ask her if we have ever met before or know each other. On the next week's meeting day, I went to see him very well dressed and with a big heart. That girl was very punctual and dressed at the appointed time. Where did I ask her before? If we knew each other before? Then she introduced herself. And I was stunned by what she told me. It was the same girl Ever who was in my class that I have already told you about. But I couldn't believe it because the Ever I knew was a very innocent girl who was hard to talk to. She was neither cute, not dressed up, but who I met Eva today. She was very confident and beautiful. That day, I realized how quickly people change over the passage of time. Ever. I did not like it all in my college days today. I like Eva so much that I decided to marry her. She groomed up very well with time. But I found one thing very strange, that why she wrote her name in the profile. When I asked her, she told me that Elia is her real name. And in college we knew her nickname, Eva. Her aunt loved the name Eva. And she used to call her by that name, and we all knew her as Ever in the college. I asked her if I did not you see any more again? After college, no one knew where Ever was. So to my question, she replied that I did not want to see any of my college friends again. And I wanted to see my friends. I had to leave the city with my aunt and go somewhere else. I accepted the fact that she did not meet any friend because even during her college, she did not talk to anyone much and she did not have any good friends. So why did she meet anyone after the college? But when I asked her why she had moved to another city, she did not answer my question, but instead started asking me about my work and life. If she did not want to answer or did not like my question, I did not ask her again. When I told her about the death of my parents, she was very sad to hear because all my friends and everyone who knew me very well that I love my parents very much. After hearing about the death of my parents, she told me about the death of her aunt. She also left her, after which she also became completely alone. I felt that both of us can support each other very well. After that meeting, I got my friend Henry and I told him my decision that I was going to marry her. And he was very happy to hear. He was already telling me that I would like this girl very much, and she turned out it to be true. After marriage, we spent about 4 months very happily and peacefully. Those 4 months were the most beautiful months of my life. But after these 4 months, everything started to change gradually. Eva's attitude towards me was becoming very bitter. She was also very deep in thoughts and depressed. I felt like she was hiding something from me. She was not giving me time at all every day. She would get a call from a different number and she would talk to them for hours as if she was dealing with something. But she never answers any of my questions and calls me wrong for asking this question and says that I'm doubting her. One of her strange things which always worried me was that whenever she received a call, she would drop everything and tell me something, or often lie and leave home. And if ever she had to tell me something because of my insistence, she would say that I have to meet some people in connection with my aunt's business. My aunt has done business with some people with some of her earnings. And now after her departure, I have to watch all of them. She told me that she will get rid of this job very soon and would have silenced me by giving such a strange answers. Also, whenever I came home, she would not meet me at home. She would come home many hours after my arrival. And when I called her not finding her home, she would not answer my call back.
And when she come back to home,
I asked her, where had she gone? She used to give me strange excuses. At first I was to read all these things. But later, all these things were becoming beyond my tolerance. We started fighting a lot because her behavior was not getting away. And day by day, all these things were increasing. During all this, I had to go to another city due to my company's work. I asked Eva to come with me, but she refused. She said she's in connection with her aunt's work. I have to stay here for some time. I cannot leave. But yes, I'll come back to you as soon as my aunt's work is over because of Eva's behavior. I was drifting away from her. We had a very weak relationship. Whenever I called over to talk to her, she would not answer my phone. All these things kept me away from her. I used to come back once a month to spend some time with Eva because I did not want to end the relationship with her. But there was no change in Eva's attitude still. She was not at home whenever I came back. And when I asked her where she had gone, she told me that she had started a part-time job. What is because she used to get bored at home alone. So she started doing this to pass time, while her answer did not satisfy me because I asked her to come with me where I live. But she refused. She could come to me if she wanted. There was no need to work. When I asked her to leave this job, she refused and made an excuse to take care of her aunt's work. Ever told me about people that my aunt was working with, had some of my aunt's money that I had to get back from them. So it was very important for me to stop in that city. I believe her and kept quiet. When I returned home the next month, I was delighted to see that Eva was at home and that she had set a beautiful dinner table in celebration of my arrival. And that I felt that perhaps all was well between us again and Eva's attitude towards me is changing. But I was wrong. That same night, I went to my room to sleep and I looked into the closet and saw that there were so many revealing dresses of Eva. I thought that maybe she brought them all for me and will show me wearing them. But it did not happen. She came to the room and said good night to me and fell asleep. I thought maybe she was very tired after coming from work. So she fell asleep. The next morning, I got up and prepared a nice breakfast for her. Then came back to the room and woke her up, or I kissed her and said good morning. And after that we sat and had breakfast. It was after a long time and it felt like everything was going well between us. Then I watched a very beautiful romantic movie. I was waiting to spend a beautiful night with her, but it did not happen. My wife got a call again from some number and she left home without telling me anything. And when I called her, she did not answer my call as usual. When she came back home, I asked her, "Where did you go?" She told me that she went to a friend of hers. When I asked her who friend, she said I have a very old friend. I don't know her while she was lying because I knew very well that she had no friends in this city. And when I asked her, "Why don't you answer my phone?" she said her phone battery was completely dead, due to which she couldn't answer the phone. But she was also lying because when she left home, her phone was fully charged in just a few hours. Her battery cannot be so low that she cannot even answer my phone. That night, we had a lot of fight. I left everything and came back. My heart was full of my wife, or maybe I started hating her. Her attitude, her alienated me from her. And I had no love left for her at all. After I came back, I was feeling very sad and lonely and I was drinking continuously. A friend of mine, David, came to my house when he saw my condition, asked me why I told him that I had a fight with my wife and now I don't want to be with her and feel very lonely. David was divorced from his wife so he could feel my grief very well. David told me the cure for my loneliness. He called a call girl for me to make me feel good about spending time with her. At first I refused. But then David told me that he had been intimate with her and that I wanted to be with her. It was so nice to spend time with her. She told me that the girl is very beautiful and good at her job. I feel great having intimate time with her. As I was already saddened by my bad behavior. I asked my friend to call this call girl. We called her and found that she was already working with someone else. So my friend called her to my office the next day. When that girl arrived at my office at the appointed time, I was surprised to see that because she was my wife, ever seeing that I lost my senses. See this, both of us were unable to meet each other's eyes and both of us bow our heads in shame. I did not have enough courage left to ask her any questions. I left my office and went to my apartment, unable to believe it ever happened that day. After seeing all this, I did not want to live with my wife at all. After a week of this incident, my wife sent a letter to my apartment in which she wrote treason. Why she was doing all this for a whole night. I did not even open the envelope that contained the letter. I did not have the guts to find out why my wife was doing all this. After I got a lot of courage, I read that letter and I got answers to all my questions. Ever wrote in the letter that she had been doing this since her college days. Her aunt used to do this and she forced her to do all this. She was forced to work as a call girl. And when her aunt died, she felt she had lost all of these things, but she was wrong. She had married me sincerely. But the people she was doing it with forced her to do it all again. Never did not say much in her clean up and demanded me to divorce her because she also knew very well that after knowing this, I wouldn't like to be with her and I did not really want to be with her and I divorced her. She told me that even if she wanted to leave this, it is not possible for her. I never met her again. I don't know if she's still doing all this or not. But I got married to Sophia a year after she left and we are living a very happy life. I have